Thank you, William. Very good morning to everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We've got very interesting speakers who are going to be joining us for the panel. Let me first introduce the first one, Mr. Chris Pyle, the founder of the Farm Digital from Australia. We also have Ms. Jojo Strice from, let me just get me. Yeah. And the last speaker that we have is Chris Wee from Says.com. Please have a seat. We've got a lot of fans as well. Okay. Strategy as far as Facebook, social media, and everything that comes in the social media domain is actually very interesting to talk about. But what we will do first is actually to listen to the speakers, and we will actually hold all questions until everyone has actually finished. So if you have any thoughts along the way, please just jot it down, and then we can actually ask the questions immediately after all the three speakers have actually finished doing that. But just a brief introduction for the speakers that we have with us. Mr. Chris Pyle, currently residing in Singapore, has been with one of the key founder of the Farm Digital. If you go to the website, you'll be finding some very interesting vision and mission of the company, which is very creative as far as the company is concerned. I think it is liberating to see something which you seldom see when it comes to people describing what their company looks like and what the company is actually presenting for. But I will let Chris to do most of the talking. Chris, the floor is yours.
Clicker. Do we have a clicker? Anyway, just while we're getting a clicker, here it is here. Thanks so much for coming out and taking some time out of your day. It's obviously people very busy in their day-to-day schedule, so thanks a lot for coming along and listening. Just before I kick off though, I just wanted to get a bit of a gauge of who's in the audience. And I sort of talked about this with my other panelists because we're interested to know who's here. So first of all, who's sort of, I guess, client side? Who's from a brand or represents a brand? Or so small amount. Who here is a media owner, publisher, blogger? Okay. All right, so who here is a practitioner of social media, agency, that side of things? So a couple. Who hasn't put their hand up? Because I don't think everyone has. Right, I see you. So just if you are from the agency side, I just want to make it clear that given the topic of this conversation, I'm definitely not going to talk us out of a job today. But I just wanted to give you, I guess, a bit of background about the farm, a quick sort of intro, and then I guess just talk through our approach to social media, I guess in the context of outsourcing versus not outsourcing. So talk you through, I guess, the approach that we take, and then I guess the resources required to do that, and I guess probably why clients outsource to us rather than do it internally. Cool. So this is Randall, our little gnome. He's on the back of our business card, although he looks a bit older in the business card. So we were founded in 2004 in Sydney, and I guess we would sort of call ourselves a full-service digital agency. So we provide strategy, research insights, creative, technology, data and analytics, and media for our clients. We sort of broadly group those across social, web and mobile, so we sort of cover off all those areas. So just a bit about our pipeline. So like I said, we launched in 2004 in Sydney. We launched our first regional office in Singapore in April last year, and we've now grown to six people and growing rapidly, which is very exciting. And hopefully Malaysia by the end of the year, we'll see. If there's any clients out there that need a good social media agency, please see me after. So just to give you an idea of the types of clients we work on, so we predominantly work on sort of large multinationals, a lot of FMCG business, although you'll see there's finance there as well, a few sort of entertainment clients, people like Hoyts, who are an Australian movie distributor, And then also a couple of Singapore clients as well. So Singapore Institute of Technology and Costa Coffee, they're some of the Singapore brands that we work on. So just to give you an idea of those. So Asman talked a bit about, I guess, what we're about as a business before. And you know, our philosophy is really about creating digital experiences that, I guess, create that sort of value exchange. And sort of where we find the sweet spot and where we find the most engagement is where we sort of overlap someone's personal life, their brand, their personal story, and where we sort of, I guess, create the story of the brand and create that interaction in between. So we're very focused on that. So there's been a little bit of discussion already around, you know, which platform's the right platform. We sort of try and look at it a bit more broadly. So people are interacting with these different spaces all the time. So how do we create relevant messaging in those? So very focused around understanding consumers. We do a lot of research and insights in the business, which obviously leads to a solid strategy, which then informs the creative, which we then optimize sort of as we go along. So that's sort of a bit about our approach. I'm not going to dwell on the strategic process, except that, again, it's a strategic framework that we use for all our clients, and again, it's proved very successful. And I guess I just wanted to sort of talk you through a little bit about how we, sorry, I got a bit of a cold, how we sort of look at social media, and this is probably a little bit Facebook-centric. Like someone said in the last presentation, it is by far and away the biggest platform in the world. But we definitely sort of take the same approach for any social platform that we look at. So we sort of break it down into three areas. We've got always-on content, which is, I guess, the content that you create as the brand owner. That is published usually on the wall, or their tweets, or even things like the content that's posted on YouTube. Then we talk about things like activations. So they're things like applications that are built on top of Facebook. Lots of people do promotions to build fan numbers, things like that. We take a slightly different approach to activation, which I'll talk you through. And then looking at the amplification piece, and that's really how we use paid media to amplify your story or amplify the message and actually get the most eyeballs to see it. So then we sort of break each section down further, and again, this is sort of part of our strategic framework. So getting always on right is pretty key. So we sort of break it down into three areas. So we look at, I guess, what your business objectives are, and then we break them down into different priorities. So the business priority is like, what content we create is, what do we want our fans to do? What do we actually want them to do? Do we want them to buy something? Do we want them to do a survey, click on this, do that? That'll sort of come out of the objectives. The brand priority is around sort of what you want your fans to think about you. So if they were sort of talking to their friends. And then the communication priority. So what do you want your fans to say about you? How do we create that advocacy loop? What do you want them to say? Hopefully nice things. And then we give them a weighting. So when we're creating content schedules, we give them different sort of priorities and weightings from a percentage point of view. And then we use this sort of framework to optimize. Again, just some sort of best practice around always-on content. Won't sort of dwell on this. This is just based on, I guess, probably 4.5 years of actually doing it. So things around like keeping it short. Pictures tell 1,000 words. We always get much, much higher engagement where we post a picture. Obviously, anyone who is in this space will be very familiar with content scheduling. Again, it's something we do quite religiously, but also have a bit of flexibility to allow for any sort of contextual events or content that we can sort of put. So if an event happens in the news and we can sort of write about it, we can slot that into the schedule as well. Talk a bit about amplification. Again, this is sort of quite Facebook-centric, but the way that we sort of look at the paid ad units within Facebook. So we use ads, and that's sort of your voice. So that's the voice of the brand. That's how we sort of think about when we're actually using the ad units. Then we use sponsored stories to sort of amplify content to friends of friends. So that's either content you've created or content that your fan base has created, and we want to get that out there and sort of share that with as many people as possible. So again, that's how we sort of split the amplification piece. And then the activation side, again, this is not, I've been up in Singapore since April last year, and it's something I've observed there, and it's definitely not uniquely Singaporean or Asian, but a lot of brands are using promotions, giveaways and things like that to build a fan base. And what we find is that you can get a huge spike in fans, which then levels out as soon as the activity stops, but they're not engaged. They're only really interested in whatever you're giving away at the time. So we've got some pages we're looking at the moment where we've got sort of 50 to 100,000 fans with virtually zero engagement. So when we sort of think about activations, we sort of make sure that they're relevant and they're going to add value to the user experience, not just give things away. We definitely make them social by design, so whatever interaction they do is amplified out through their social networks. Mobile is just such a huge part of anything to do with online at the moment. So we know that, I think the latest stats from Facebook in December last year, so they've got just on 1 billion users globally, and I think there's 600 and something million per month accessed via mobile. So, you know, it's 2/3 of people accessing via mobile. So anything you do, creating content, creating activations, any apps have to be mobile optimized. Definitely focused on not replicating any Facebook functionality that's already there. We have clients come to us and say, can we please have a voting app or something like that? It's like, it's already built in. We want an app to deliver offers to our fans. It's like, that's already built in. So we just use the Facebook offers. Always supported by always-on campaigns, so it always underpins everything we do. And then we obviously use paid media or amplification to support that as well. Metrics, I think some people have talked about metrics a bit already, but it's something that is utterly important. We use it, we measure everything religiously. We do use a very fast test build learn cycle. So when we're talking about, especially on ramping a new client, we create, I guess, a content schedule where we're testing and optimizing that very rapidly, even to the point where we can optimize a post as we do it, and we can see the analytics live. So we'll create a post, optimize it if it's not getting the effect we want, and then we can support that with paid media. So the engagement rate is usually the most important metric we look at because, to Laurel's point before, that's sort of coming back to loyalty of your fan base. But the value of a fan is sort of an area that is sort of becoming more important, and Facebook are very focused on them at the moment on providing tools for marketers to be able to track conversion, and there's some great tools out there now as well. I don't know if anyone's seen the Adobe Marketing Cloud platform, but it's a very, very powerful measurement tool and content management tool where you can basically attribute any interaction across any digital platform back to a certain interaction or person. So it's very, very important. So that's quite a lengthy process, and when we sort of get into it, I guess we have the strategy phase, then we have sort of, I guess, content creation, content management. I guess this is the team that we have that manages that process. So obviously we have a business director who is the client relationships. We've got an art director designer who helps out with content, copywriter again, especially crafting content for the target audience. Strategists involved in that sort of research insights piece at the start, and then obviously analysing the data insights at the back end. Community management, very important. They're the sort of day-to-day person, and again, like, there's heaps of great tools out there that can help us do that when you're managing large communities. And then the technology piece as well. When we're building apps, we sort of need to think about sort of the user experience and then the data capture on the back end. So I just wanted to give this, leave this with you as a parting thought. I've only got one more slide after this. And it's sort of interesting hearing some of the brands talk about them managing their own social media already. And it's sort of interesting, this only came out a few weeks ago, but Nike's decision to bring social media in-house. And it's sort of everyone's sort of looking at that because they've got so many great, successful campaigns, and they've just been voted, I think, the top most innovative company in the world by Fast Company, and they only feel now that they're at the point where they can actually bring this in-house. So I think that's sort of an indication of where brands overall are at about creating that capability internally. Just one last thing. As a business, we love to share. We're a social media business and a digital business. We have lots of digital spaces that we manage, which you can check out. We've got a very active blog where we sort of post lots of opinion pieces and thought leadership around social media. You can see one of the pictures up there. It's from our producer, Kat, in Sydney. She, if you check out our Pinterest board, it's called Farm Sketches, and she loves drawing little pictures. She got a poster from one of our movie clients for Twilight, which was signed. So she drew a little picture to commemorate the occasion, which I wanted to share with you. Oh, I think that's it. That's it. That's all for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Strategic in thinking, creative in solutions, precise in delivery. That was one of the mission that you had as far as the farm digital is concerned. If you have questions with regards to the farm digital, just hold your thoughts, write it down, and then we can actually discuss that after the third speaker have actually spoken. The next speaker will be the executive director of Kayanite.tv, a celebrity personality in Malaysia, very well known. If you've been to Starbucks, there are CDs which are actually available. Jojo Strice, she's coming out with a second album in terms of assisting people to let go with her. But I will just let her go to speak to all of you about her project. Go ahead, Jojo.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I hope you're wide awake because this is not a de-stress or relaxation workshop. In fact, I was kind of amused because I got a Twitter message last night and someone said, oh, if there are any places tomorrow for your workshop, can I please come because I cannot sleep. But today, I'm not talking about insomnia, so you are all officially not allowed to fall asleep on me. I'd be very upset, because I am wearing my corporate hat today, because believe it or not, if I'm not stuffing my face with amazing food on the Asian Food Channel, I am actually showing up to work at an office which I formed. Very humble beginnings. We started out of our own homes, right? And we've now grown to a staff of pushing 20 people. This happened about 7 years ago. My business partner is the ex-brand director of Ogilvy and Mather, so he's very familiar with branding and advertising strategies. And to give you a little bit more of a snapshot of how we work, we actually come up with 360-degree ideas from scratch, and we work with TV stations directly who might have an idea that they want to do a certain show, and then we come up with it from A to Z, all the way to post-production and graphics. However, even when we work with branded or unbranded content from scratch, when we come up with that idea, it always inevitably has a social media amplification component, because so many of the projects we do involve major celebrities, and if you ignore the social media aspect, it's almost as if something is missing to not have it amplified in a language today which is so relevant not only to the youth but all the way into political arenas as well. Oh, I think I just switched off my entire presentation. Oh my God. Well, I'm prepared, but I'm not that prepared. Okay. This is why we actually amplify our projects with celebrities. Believe it or not, there's even scientific research behind it. Basically, this was from the BBC website, and a very interesting experiment was conducted with women who were shown a bunch of photographs. Some of them were attractive women, and some of them were celebrities wearing trendy and fashionable shoes. The amazing thing about this experiment is they noticed that consumers' brain activity was heightened when they were looking at celebrities and what they were wearing. So the incredible thing about that is it actually encoded memories in a different way, and it enhanced brain activity in the area of the brain which was linked to affection. So go figure, you know, why advertisers run so many campaigns around powerful celebrity influencers. Okay, just on the record, as well as off the record, there's a lot of perceptions that social media is free. Well, to be honest, it's not free, but if you engage celebrity social media, it's far more cost-effective than an SMS blast. To give you an example, an SMS would cost you about 10 to 12 cents per SMS. And that is cold and it's impersonal. We get them all the time, you know, come to this restaurant, 2 for 1, beer, free-flowing, and you don't even know who it's coming from. Now, the reason why you're following a celebrity is because you actually want to. So when a celebrity sends out a message, even if it's a commercial one, there is definitely a higher chance of brand recall, and it costs a fraction of what it could be. If you do the math, at 10 cents per SMS, that could be 10,000 ringgit per message if you're trying to communicate to 100,000 followers. If you can see this photograph, we actually shot Zizan Raja Lawak. He's Malaysia's most influential comedian last year for Air Asia X, as well as Japan Tourism. For somebody like him, he's got 1.1 million followers on Twitter and just over 2 million on Facebook. So at 3 million, at 10 cents per blast, he could be charging 300,000, right? And then I'm sure he would be on a desert island, you know, sipping a mocktail by now. So for sure, this is not what someone even like our #1 celebrity is charging for celebrity social media. But that's how much potentially it could have cost. This was a project that we did around Malaysia's most influential singer, even at that time. About a couple of years ago, Yuna had about 350 to 380,000 fans on Facebook, and we created a Facebook contest idea around her, where Yuna was going to actually collaborate with her fans and build a new song. And it was very, very simple. As a contest, there were 4 verses of this song. She put up a verse every week, which had a missing line, and fans then had to tweet in their entries. What was challenging for us, and very exciting, is that we were dealing with already social media savvy companies like Digi, Canon, Malaysia Airlines, as well as Astro Hits, which is very young generation, but they were all pushing one voice, one campaign, at the time called Yuna Inspired. What I think was good about this is the fact that they were non-conflicting sponsors, and when you want to share the cost of a project, you can also make it a lot bigger.